Have you ever noticed how some people spend their whole lives trying to make everyone else happy? Maybe that person is you. Always saying yes when you want to say no. Always putting others first, even when your own heart feels heavy and tired. Empaths do this more than anyone, because they feel so deeply. They sense the emotions of others like waves crashing against their own skin. And while this sensitivity is a gift, it often turns into a trap. You give, you please, you sacrifice, only to end up feeling invisible, drained, and sometimes even used. Carl Jung had a word for the journey out of this trap. He called it individuation, the process of becoming your true self, not the mask you wear for the world. And when an empath finally steps onto this path, something incredible happens. The people who once controlled them lose their power. The guilt that kept them saying yes begins to fade. And for the first time, they feel free to live, not just for others, but for themselves. So what really happens when the empath stops pleasing everyone? What changes inside them? And what happens to the relationships around them? Keep watching, because the answers might surprise you. And if you've ever felt like you're giving too much, this video may feel like looking into a mirror. Stay with me until the end, because we're going to uncover the truth Jung saw. And I promise, you'll never see yourself the same way again. And before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe, because this journey into your own psychology is just beginning. To understand why empaths fall into the cycle of pleasing, we need to go back to the beginning, childhood. For many empaths, saying yes was never just kindness. It was survival. Maybe you grew up in a home where love had conditions, where peace only lasted if you stayed quiet, helpful, or obedient. Deep down, a belief took root. If I keep everyone happy, I'll be safe. If I please them, I'll be loved. Carl Jung described this mask we wear as the persona, the version of ourselves we show to the world to get approval. For empaths, that mask often looks like endless kindness, patience, and understanding. On the surface, it shines, but behind it, something very different is happening. The real self, the one that has needs, boundaries, even anger, is being hidden in the shadows. This is why empaths struggle so much with saying no. It's not just a word. It feels like a betrayal of everything they were taught to be. Yet every time they ignore their own needs to please others, they step further away from their true self. And the cost is heavy: exhaustion, resentment, and sometimes even illness. But here's the twist. That mask eventually cracks. No matter how long you've worn it, life has a way of pulling it off. And when it does, the empath begins to see something shocking. The very people they've tried hardest to please may not have loved them for who they truly are, but for the role they played. And that realization changes everything. Stay with me, because next we'll talk about the hidden cost of pleasing, and why breaking free is the first step to real power. And again, make sure you're subscribed, because we're just getting started. When you live your life constantly trying to please others, there comes a point when you start losing yourself. You forget what you really want, what you really like, and who you really are. Your days revolve around other people's needs, while your own quietly sink to the bottom of the list. Slowly, the colors of your identity begin to fade. Instead of a vibrant self, you become a reflection of everyone else's expectations. And the body keeps score. That endless smiling and agreeing doesn't come for free. You may notice yourself feeling tired all the time, drained after even small interactions. Anxiety begins to creep in because you're always anticipating someone else's reaction. Resentment simmers quietly, but you push it down because it feels wrong to be angry. Jung said that this is where the shadow grows, the part of us we repress and deny. For empaths, that shadow is often made of unspoken needs, hidden anger, and a deep craving to finally be seen for who they really are. But shadows don't stay buried forever. They rise, and when they do, they shake the ground beneath you. Sometimes it happens slowly, and sometimes it comes as a sudden collapse. The awakening moment. Maybe it's betrayal. Someone you gave everything to turns their back on you. Maybe it's burnout. Your body simply refuses to keep giving. Or maybe it's just the quiet realization, one day, that no matter how much you do, it's never enough. That's the moment the mask begins to slip. Carl Jung believed that individuation, the journey toward wholeness, requires breaking free from false roles. And for the empath, this is the turning point. The old identity of the pleaser begins to crack, and through those cracks, the light of truth shines in. The empath starts to see not only the people around them differently, but themselves too. And once you see the truth, you can never go back. If this feels close to your heart, stay with me. There's more to uncover. And if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe, because the journey only gets deeper from here. For most empaths, anger feels forbidden. They swallow it down, telling themselves it's not spiritual, not kind, not acceptable. Their desires are kept hidden, their boundaries blurred, all in the name of being good. But Carl Jung warned that whatever we repress does not disappear. It gathers strength in the shadow, and the shadow waits for the day when it must be faced. Facing the shadow is not about becoming someone hard or cruel. It's about admitting a truth empaths rarely speak. I have limits. I have needs. I have the right to say no. The first time an empath says no, it feels terrifying. Every nerve braced for rejection, for conflict, for the collapse of the relationship. Yet something surprising happens. The world doesn't end. The sun still rises. Life keeps moving. That small act of honesty, though, changes everything inside. It's the first crack in the old mask, and through it, freedom begins to shine. But what about the people around you? The moment an empath stops people-pleasing, the world reacts. Some will resist, and their resistance reveals the truth. Manipulators, users, and those who fed off your endless yes suddenly panic. They push harder, guilt trip louder, try every trick to pull you back into the old role. But this only proves they were never there for you. They were there for the version of you that served them. And then there are others. Some people will respect the new boundaries. They may even admire the strength they always knew was hidden beneath your softness. These are the ones who value you for you, not for what you can give them. Jung believed that real relationships only begin when the masks drop, and this is what happens for the empath. For the first time, connections become rooted in authenticity, not performance. Stay with me, because the next step is the most powerful of all. The transformation that comes when the empath finally starts living for truth instead of approval. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to subscribe, because you don't want to miss what's coming. True power isn't about controlling others, and it certainly isn't about keeping everyone happy. Real power is inner freedom, the ability to stand in your truth no matter how the world reacts. For the empath, this realization is life-changing. No longer trapped in the endless cycle of pleasing, they shift from being the victim of other people's moods to becoming a conscious creator of their own life. Carl Jung believed that the self, the deeper wholeness within us, emerges when the ego stops clinging to approval. When the empath no longer needs every smile, every nod, every scrap of validation, something remarkable happens. They begin to live from a place of inner stability. The storms around them still swirl, but inside there's calm. Instead of asking, do they like me? Am I enough? The question becomes, am I being true to myself? And that shift is the beginning of real strength. With this strength comes a new way of seeing people. The empath no longer treats others as projects to heal or puzzles to fix. They no longer believe it's their duty to absorb everyone's pain. Instead, they see people as mirrors, each interaction showing them something about themselves. The root person is no longer a tyrant to endure, but a reflection of what boundaries need to be set. The kind friend becomes a mirror of the love they deserve. And those who constantly take without giving, they reveal themselves clearly once boundaries are in place. This reframing changes everything. The empath learns that not everyone belongs in their circle, and that's okay. Boundaries don't just keep out the harmful. They create space for the meaningful. As Jung said, it's through relationships that we integrate, but only authentic ones help us grow. If this is resonating with you, stay with me until the end, because we're about to explore what happens when the empath fully embraces this truth and steps into a new way of living. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time, because you don't want to miss where this journey leads. Living authentically doesn't mean swinging to the other extreme and shutting everyone out. It means learning the balance between compassion and self-respect. For the empath, this often begins with the simple but powerful act of saying yes and no with honesty. Not yes because of guilt, Not no out of fear, but choices that reflect what feels true inside. This balance allows kindness without erasing yourself. You can care deeply while still holding boundaries. You can offer love without losing your center. Carl Jung reminded us that individuation, the path to wholeness, is not about becoming perfect, but about becoming real. It's about embracing all parts of yourself, both light and shadow, and walking in the world as your whole self. For the empath, living authentically is the end of self-sacrifice and the beginning of genuine connection. And now let's close with what matters most. If you're an empath, you don't lose your kindness when you stop pleasing everyone. You gain freedom. You gain the ability to give love that is pure, not forced. You gain energy to nurture the people and dreams that truly matter. And you gain the confidence of knowing that you are worthy, even when you say no. So I want to leave you with a question. In your own life, are you pleasing or are you truly living? Reflect on that, because your answer may open a door you've been afraid to walk through. And if this message resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe. Stay on this path with me, because Carl Jung's wisdom has so much more to teach us about freedom, truth, and becoming whole. Keep watching, keep reflecting, and most of all, keep choosing yourself.